I want to share a concept with you that has changed my life. It's called who, not how. And I believe that it applies 100% to my business. That's why I've changed my whole entire business model to be able to fit this structure of how you think, of one's belief, basically. So let's go ahead and break down the scenario. I'll give it to you in a example for Airweb Digital. So let's say that we have a client call us and they want us to fly our drones over a construction site. And let's say that construction site is in the state of Texas. All right. So it's in Texas. It's in Fort Worth, Texas, right? So let's go ahead and put that down. So here's a little chart of me versus others. So this is the who rather than the how, right? Because if it was me that was going out there to go do the job, I would have to think, how am I going to go do this job? And let's say this is a mapping job. So it's going to require a M300 with a P1. So you're already talking about a $25,000 to $30,000 payload on that drone. So I don't have this drone. Let's say it's 25 to 30K. So I don't have this drone. So for me, I'm already going to go ahead and put down, I'm going to need to rent this drone to be able to do this job myself. Now, I'm also going to need to fly to Texas and get a car rental and get a hotel or Airbnb. And then I'm going to charge for my labor. And then I'm going to want to profit some, right? So you can already see we need 5 items in our cost estimation of what we're going to be charging out this client, right? So let's go ahead and let's just start throwing numbers out there. I don't know how much it costs to rent an M300 with the P1, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it's more than $1,000 for a day, right? So if you already want to put this here for $1,000, and then you want to, sorry, my cat's got the zoomies. You want to go ahead and go fly out to Texas. Let's just call it $300 from Atlanta. I'm from, Hartsfield Jackson's 20 minutes down the street. So go over there, and don't even think you got to pay for parking whenever you go fly, because where's your car going to be at? So you got to get your rental over there. Let's say it's $150 a day, or after all the fees and everything. Let's just call it 150. You get your hotel. Let's call it 125. You want to charge your labor, whatever you charge for the job. Let's say it takes you a full day of mapping. Your rate's $200 an hour is $1,600. And then you want to profit, I don't know, after we do all the math, let's say you want to profit 20% on this if you are actually doing this job, which I would advise to profit 20%, especially if you are going out there to do the work. You want to have some more margins in there. But let's go ahead and add this up. So that's 1,300 plus 150 is 1,450 plus 125. That is 1,575. 1,575 with 1,600 is 3,175, I think. Yeah, something like that. So that's already 3,175. I haven't even accounted for profit. So let's say that's 20%. It's going to be about $600 that we're adding onto that if you want to profit only $600. Now, that is apart from the labor. So some people in this scenario would call labor profit, but that's assuming that you are not paying yourself and you're counting your labor as your profit. So always separate the two. You want to pay yourself first, and then you want to think about the profit as the overflow afterwards. So if you're adding profit on top of this, that's not where you're paying yourself to go fly the drone. This is where you're going to put in your reserves. Let's just call it 30, 40%. If you go with 30%, it's going to be about $900 added onto this job. So your job's going to be a $4,000 job if you are doing it, or me in this scenario, because I don't have the M300. You might have the M300, but I'm from Georgia, so I already got to go rent, car rental, fly out over there, or rent out a drone, rent out a car, all those good things. Now, what happens if I think about who can do this job rather than how am I going to do this job? Then you can already look. You got to take off that rental fee. I don't have to go rent out the M300 because I'm going to find somebody in Texas that has an M300, the P1, that's in Fort Worth, and they're going to fly the job for me. So I don't have to fly over there. I also don't need a car rental, and I don't need a hotel. So we just took off 4 things from this whole list that we're not going to have to bill to the client. that already makes it a better option for the client. So let's say this drone pilot wants to charge us, $1,600 in labor, and that's it. Let's say they just charge us $1,600. You can already see I'm working with a cost of $1,600 versus $4,000. Now, or my bad, the cost would actually be $3,175, right? So $3,175, take off the $1,600. That is the difference that we're making here, okay? So this is my cost to me as a contractor, right? Instead of me having to go out and contract myself and pay myself the labor, hotel, rent, blah, 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 I'm saving $3,175, but I got to find somebody in Texas, so now I'm spending $1,600 to go find that person in Texas. Let's say the client has been getting quotes all day and they're used to numbers within 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. They're used to those numbers already. And if you come to them, you say, hey, I can get this done in the same week for $2,500, let's just say. You're saving them time. You're saving them having to hire somebody out to go fly to the area, which increases the risk because in our line of work, whenever it's raining, you can't fly. So you're able to give a product that's a lot quicker. It is saving them money, and it's a much more simple workflow. You're not having to go out and actually go do this work. So we already save. Well, let's just not worry about savings yet. If I want to look at this example right here. If I wanted to pass this on to the client for $4,000, now instead I pass it on for $2,500. They're saving $1,500 from normal quotes that they're probably getting from drone service providers that are going to go fly to the area. So they're already quoting them way too high. They're going to want to go with me on this, and I'm getting $900. So a little bit above 50% of the profit. Well, not the profit. It's actually, what is that? It's about 30% profit. So I'm going to be getting about 30% profit, and I'm not having to go fly out to the area and go do that work myself. Actually, if you think about it, right about here, that was almost $900 itself. So literally, the profit that I would have accounted for myself to go do this work, and spending 2 days of travel, prep, in the field, processing the data, 2 days to make a profit of $900. On the flip side, I hire somebody else out in the area. So long as I know what I'm doing from hiring out that person, I'm not going to hire somebody that's not experienced. And I'm making $900 and I'm sitting at home. Which one are you going to take? Because all day, I'm always going to think about who, not how. At the same time, I don't have to worry about my maintenance on that drone. I don't have to worry about the maintenance on my car. I don't have to worry about flying out and not being with family. Don't have to worry about staying in a hotel. I can sleep in my bed at home. All of these things make sense when you just flip the script a little bit and stop thinking of how you can take on each job and how you can make more money when you're not really making more money. You're just charging the client more, but it's going to all your expenses. So once I made this switch, I started thinking, okay, if I can think about who, not how for everything, right? And as long as I know what I'm talking about and what I'm selling, then this ultimately applies for being the middleman between the transaction and delivering the most value to the client. Because the client is getting a faster product. Because if they're calling somebody in Fort Worth, right? If they're going to call somebody in Fort Worth and say, hey, can you do this mapping job? Chances are they're calling maybe 3 to 5 people. Chances are those 3 to 5 people are booked up. Chances are they reach out to me and I reach out to my network of 50 people. There's going to be a couple of people that can take on that job that week. So it's a numbers game at that point, but whenever you're working with those numbers, they are in your favor. So I challenge you, look at your business. Maybe you have a different model than mine, but I think it could work for most businesses. And it also takes you out of the route as being an owner operator. Now you're actually managing the project rather than you yourself being involved in the project. So I hope that helps out. It has helped me out tremendously. And I'm going to keep on sharing little things like this that have helped me out with my business. Hopefully, I find some similarities with yours.